Good evening. Welcome to the July 18th City Council meeting. I hereby call it to order, and we have a special Pledge of Allegiance leader, and her name is Jory Hawley. And if everybody would rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jory. So I have a few questions for you. Okay. Unprepared questions, right? What grade will you be in this fall?
4th,
And who is your teacher in 3rd grade?
Miss Robbins,
And what school do you go to?
Westwood.
Westwood. And, okay, now get ready for this one. What's your favorite subject?
Every single one of them.
There you go. Love smart girls. And what do you told me you were taking lessons this summer. What are you doing?
Swimming.
Swimming. Is the water nice and warm?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would think so.
Most days.
Most days, yes. And who brought you here tonight?
Stacy.
Stacy, which
Holly.
would be mom
Yes.
to you. And what does Stacy Holly do? Where does she work?
She's a custodian and she works in the city of Stillwater.
City of Stillwater. And from everything that we know about her, you were supposed to say the wonderful. But yeah.
She's mostly wonderful, but not
I tried,
always.
Mom. We appreciate your mom so much, so you can learn lots of good things from her. Okay, so the finale. Do you have any jokes you want to tell?
Yes. What kind of shoes does a chicken wear?
Did everybody hear that? Does anyone have an answer? What kind of shoes does a chicken wear?
We don't know.
All right, give it to us.
A Reebok, bok, bok, bok.
That was very good, and thank you for staying on the same joke that you told me you were going to say. Had a few problems with that, and I believe they're your cousins, so yeah.
Well, one of them.
One of-
The other one is my friend.
I'm just teasing him. It wasn't a problem. Thank you so much, and I have something for you. There you go. Oh, another picture? You don't want to turn them on? Okay, and next we have a proclamation. Is Amy Bryant here? I know she is. I'm so glad that I can read this, even though I could not be at your event, so. Whereas Amy Bryant served as director of the Sherrar Museum of Stillwater History for the past 8 years. And whereas Amy worked to build mutually beneficial relationships with community partners for outstanding exhibits and programs, including the City of Stillwater, Stillwater Sister Cities Council, Stillwater Public Library, Oklahoma State University Library, Special Collections and Archives, and Botanic Garden, Town and Gown Theater, and Wondatorium. And whereas Amy worked to improve the museum by updating technology infrastructure in the office and museum shop, and by creating a presence on the web, as well as redesigning long-term exhibits and renovating the exhibit gallery and long-term collection storage areas. And whereas Amy guided the redesign and launch of a new hands-on Oklahoma history education program entitled How Oklahoma Began for grades 3 and up, featuring an interactive and inclusive large-scale map exercise in which students participate to learn how Oklahoma was settled and became a state. And whereas, during Amy's leadership, the Sherrar Museum of Stillwater History and the Oklahoma Wondertorium were honored for their partnership in presenting How Oklahoma Began as the outstanding education program in the state of Oklahoma by the Oklahoma Museums Association, and the museum was also honored by the Oklahoma Historical Society as the outstanding local history museum for 2013. Whereas, it is both fitting and appropriate that Amy Bryant be honored by myself and the City Council. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Gina J. Noble, Mayor of the City of Stillwater, and the Stillwater City Council do hereby proclaim July 18th, 2016 as Amy Bryant Day in the City of Stillwater, Oklahoma, and hereby recognize and thank Amy Bryant for her many, many contributions to the museum and to the City of Stillwater. Thank you.
Thank you for this this honor. It's been my honor to serve the museum and the mission of the museum, which by extension is important to the city. We collect, we preserve, and we present Stillwater's history. And I'm not a Stillwater native, but over the last 8 years, I have, I think, become, if not a native, then a true citizen of the community. You come to love a community the more you learn about it. And I have certainly learned a lot about Stillwater. Thank you.
And I just want to say you've learned a lot and we've learned a lot from you. So thank you. Okay, that takes us to the consent docket. Counselors, does anyone wish to remove an item, or is there a motion to approve? Am I missing something?
No. Motion to approve the consent docket.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. And the consent docket was approved with a vote of 5-0. We have, that takes us to public hearings. Received public comment regarding a request for a specific use permit in the O Office District to allow the construction of a parking lot at properties addressed at 506, 510, 514, and 524 South Lincoln Street, CC-16-91. Mr. Dorman, did we have good notice on this item?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. McNichol.
Mike Beatty will be providing that report tonight.
Evening, I am Mike Beatty. This is a specific use permit request for a map amendment that we had a few weeks ago. The property is currently zoned office. The proposed use is a parking lot. It's located at the corner of Lincoln and 6th Street, just east or just west of the existing OSU Foundation property. As a picture of the site plan, layout of the parking lot. North is to the right. Picture of the landscape plan. If you notice, along the west, they've proposed row of juniper-type bushes, dense plantings, and then also along the north to provide screening. Example of the planting proposed. There's a street view looking westward along 6th Street at the very south end. That house is loaded up on the beams and they're getting ready to pull it out today. This is looking northward along the west side of Lincoln Street. At the Planning Commission, they found that the SUP is required for the parking lot. It's needed for the OSU Foundation expansion, and that the proposal meets the standards for landscaping and lighting adjacent to residential areas. They approved the request 4-0. Any questions?
Counselors?
I appreciated all the information in the packet. Always nice.
So at this time, I will open the public hearing, but we don't have anyone signed up, so I will close the public hearing and ask Mr. Beatty to come back up. Is there a
You can-
recommendation?
Recommendations, you can accept the city or the city planning commission's recommendation for approval, or you could deny the request.
Counselors, discussion?
I just have a question. Is there a reason they just didn't put a fence up rather than shrubbery facing those houses on the back?
Fence isn't required for the screening. The proposal, I've got a tab back through here to get to I think aesthetically, they thought that the upright evergreen screening would provide a denser, more aesthetic look, but fencing isn't specifically required for screening.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions?
No.
Okay, is there a motion on this recommendation?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve CC-16-91. Please vote. And CC-16-91 is approved with a vote of 5-0. That takes us to resolutions. Resolution CC 2016-22, a resolution authorizing execution of a certain project agreement with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation to modify and reconstruct Western Road, beginning at the intersection of McElroy Road, extending north on Western Road to Lakeview Road within the city of Stillwater, Oklahoma. Mr. Dorman.
This resolution authorizes the expenditure of funds for the widening project for the area that's described in the title.
Okay. Counselors, questions, discussion? Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution number 2016-22. Please vote. And resolution 2016-22 is approved with a vote of 5-0. That takes us to ordinances. We have none on first reading. On second reading, Mr. Dorman.
Ordinance number 3346, an ordinance closing a portion of East Fifth Avenue right-of-way adjacent to 423 South Perkins Road and 798 East Fifth Avenue.
Counselors, discussion? Is there a
Seen it
motion?
before.
Motion to adopt, is it?
Yes.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 3346. Please vote. And ordinance number 3346 is adopted with a vote of 5-0. That takes us to reports from officers and boards. City Attorney.
A couple of items for executive session tonight. Request an executive session pursuant to 25 OS subsection 307B1 for the purpose of confidential communication regarding the employment, appointment, promotion, demotion, disciplining, or resignation of City Manager Norman McNichol and City Attorney John Dorman. And secondarily, if you would give me just a moment, I would like to introduce to the council our new Assistant City Attorney, Kimberly. You're going to stand up. Kimberly Carnley. She comes to us from the Attorney General's office. She also worked with the Tax Commission and is a graduate of the University of Kansas and the Oklahoma City University School of Law. And we are thrilled to have her. We think she's going to make our office a whole lot better.
Welcome.
Welcome. We are thrilled to have you too, and I know Mr. Dorman is. Okay. Mr. McNichol.
Exciting news on the power plant. All 3 engines are up and running at 100%. And for those that have not heard this, I think 2 weeks ago, Sunday, perhaps, during a test mode, all of the city of Stillwater was transferred to power produced by the plant, and we even put some back in the grid. So it was that project's coming along, and as soon as it is absolutely complete, we will have an open house at a big grand opening and let people see these
My dad will be there.
big engines.
So there.
You're first in line.
He could probably lead the
She could
tour.
probably do it.
The other thing I'd like to say is that we've had some storm damage the last couple of weeks, a couple of different wind events, and we will be announcing a debris pickup at some point in the next week or so. And I would like to thank our utility employees and our operations employees who worked overtime to restore power to a lot of things around the city, both businesses, residents, and in fact some city locations. So they did a great job.
Yes, they did, and it didn't take long to get it back on, and I was actually out and about at one point and saw them working very hard, so we appreciate them, and to get out at any time to do what citizens need them to do. That's the service we provide, so tell them thank you. City Council, councilors, any news?
Mine didn't show up.
Thought these just magically show up.
Well,
They do, but Tinkerbell evidently was not here.
Oh,
you know, you blew our cover. It was supposed to be, you just knew we were all informed all the time. Now you know the truth. We all are informed, but
We could talk about the last week's Fridays.
Friday night event was awesome if you were there. And whether you are young or young at heart, it was a great event for the city, and lots of foamy, sudsy kids, and lots of food trucks, and lots of lines, and lots of camaraderie and communication, and we're so proud. It was a great event again. So if you haven't made it out to one yet, you should. When's the next one?
15th. I'm sorry? 19th.
19th of August, okay. And we will announce, it'll be something.
Bicycle theme.
Bicycle thing. Oh,
Ride your bike on
Very
down.
exciting bicycle.
that would be fun.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
the announcement fairy whispered in my ear that we should also talk about the 2 open planning commission seats that we have, that we would encourage anyone who's interested in being involved to apply for the 2 open seats on the planning commission.
And they can do that by going to stillwater.org and finding the link and filling out an application. And can they submit the application online? Or does it just? They can submit it online with the email. Okay, all right. It's a great way to get to know the ins and outs of the city, and it's a very, very important board to be on, or commission to be on. So please apply if you have any interest. Anything else? Okay, at this time, I'm going to recess this meeting, and we're going to go to our Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting. Then we'll come back to the City Council meeting for the executive session. I'm going to call the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting to order. And do we have an approval of minutes?
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent docket. Please vote. And the trustees approved that with a vote of 5-0. That takes us to item number 6, Chamber of Commerce Economic Development Report, presented by Ted Allison, CEO. And, no, okay. So I'll just stop right. Ted Allison, CEO. I won't go into the and. Welcome, Ted.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
And thank you, Mayor Noble, for this opportunity and members of the council. This being my first, it is a great opportunity and something that we feel needs to be done more frequently going forward. I'll touch on that a little more shortly. I have remarks prepared, and I did bring copies, letter form for members of the council and for the record. But it closely follows my remarks, so don't feel like you've got to open that and follow along. I am, as you already heard, I am the president and CEO of the Stillwater Chamber of Commerce, and certainly pleased to have this opportunity to give you a year-end report on not only our activities but our focus for the next fiscal year. As you know, the Chamber is a nonprofit organization with a simple but far-reaching mission of pursuing growth in Stillwater's economy and improving its quality of life. First and foremost, I want to say thank you loudly for the funding support the city has provided over the years to our economic development program, but also for its long-standing public-private partnership with the Chamber, all in an effort to move us forward. Now let's take just a minute to review Stillwater's economic indicators. Total employment in Payne County stands at 38,800 workers, which is relatively unchanged from a year ago. This stability in total employment is an indication of continued strength in our diverse industrial sector, as well as a result of ongoing construction activity on the OSU campus and other projects around our community. The unemployment rate in Payne County is currently 3.7%. This continues to be significantly under the state's rate of 4.7% and the nation's 4.9% rate. We anticipate the near-term employment picture to continue to be flat or may even slightly decline as state agencies and small businesses are adjusting their budgets to the reality of a weakening economy and tempered sales activity. No doubt you are watchful of monthly sales receipts, tracking under the previous projections, and have been adjusting your own budget accordingly. And the same thing is true in the business sector. While Stillwater's economy is an exceptional bright spot, other communities around the state are far less fortunate and experiencing a much worse scenario. The state's painful funding cuts have impacted not only OSU and state agencies, but once again, funding for our public schools has been slashed. This long-standing trend has greatly tarnished Oklahoma's image and is a tremendous embarrassment for local economic development practitioners trying to attract employers from outside. Stillwater as a whole continues to be somewhat insulated and very fortunate to have predictable stability and in some cases measurable growth in key economic drivers. So let me run through a few of those. Our local industrial sector is vibrant, healthy, diverse, and still hiring. OSU student enrollment is near record high. There are currently 31 projects, capital projects, on campus totaling $484 million. That's incredible. Stillwater Medical Center continues to build best-in-class facilities and using local contractors to do so, and is creating new staff positions along the way, high-paying jobs. All categories of our housing market are also very healthy. Now here's a brief overview of the Chamber's Economic Development Program. Our current economic development operating budget stands at $662,000, which includes staffing, office expense, operations, marketing, debt service, and special projects. These funds are maintained separately from the Chamber's other operational accounts. There are many competing economic development organizations, or EDOs, in cities around the region that are funded entirely through a local dedicated sales tax. However, in Stillwater, we embrace the public-private approach. Our current service agreement with the city represents 38% of our economic development budget, and the other 62% is generated from a variety of funding activities in the private sector. Now, I'd like to summarize some of our primary initiatives over the past fiscal year. In March, we established a new Economic Development Committee comprised of 20 community stakeholders and 7 ex officio members. Including in this lineup is our City Manager, Norman McNichol, Deputy City Manager, Dan Blankenship, and several past trustees with the Stillwater Industrial Foundation, as well as current trustees. This group is meeting monthly with the task of guiding the utilization of our resources, evaluating operations and promotional activities, improving accountability, and serving as a collaborative think tank to develop strategies that will improve our local economy. It is not at all intended to duplicate or overlap the important role of the Stillwater Economic Development Advisory Council. Now, here are some examples of our marketing activities. Full-page advertising in the State of Success magazine, produced by Conway, a leading publisher in the site selection field, and it's distributed widely by the Oklahoma Department of Commerce in its business recruitment activity. We conduct visitations to corporate site selectors in various cities, site selection consultants, and national development firms in participation with the Oklahoma City and Tulsa regional partnerships. We are participating in industrial trade shows and conferences of our targeted industries. And our website, that many of you I'm sure have visited, has a multitude of promotional information and valuable insight about what's going on in the business community. Distribution of Stillwater community profile and demographics, as well as the Commerce Stillwater Profile magazine, are examples of publications that we conduct annually. We also have been partnering with the city, the airport, and OSU staff to promote the benefits of Fly Stillwater commercial air service to businesses in the region. Local incentives are now a common expectation and an important part of business attraction. Nearly all of our regional competitors have such programs in place. Our current chairman, Gary Clark, has taken the lead on developing our own quality jobs incentive program, and so far he has secured funding pledges from OSU, Stillwater Medical Center, Central Electric Cooperative, Bank S&B, Bank First, Payne County, and Stillwater Designs. Under Mr. Clark's leadership and sole determination, more pledges will be coming soon. This program is another example of our belief in the public-private approach to local economic development. While still in its early stages, guidelines are currently being drafted that will clearly define how these funds will be used to attract more quality jobs. 5 allies, local economic development organizations, have shared their own guidelines in the spirit of regional cooperation. Last October, the Stillwater Industrial Foundation joined forces with the Chamber by transferring its assets to our economic development program. This event greatly strengthened our capacity as it included 3 industrial sites east of Perkins, just on the north end of town, as well as capital accounts that are reserved for making infrastructure improvements. Recognizing there is a limited inventory of fully developed shovel-ready sites to accommodate new and expanding industries, the Chamber's Economic Development Committee is also exploring the need for a new business park. It's a widely known fact that more than 80% of the quality jobs comes from existing industries. Therefore, addressing their needs is the highest priority in our strategic plan. This initiative is referred to as Business Retention and Expansion, or BRE, as we call it. We are conducting site visits every week to area businesses of all sizes without consideration of them being a chamber member or not. The objective of our BRE visits is to understand the nature of their business, help them overcome challenges by providing access to resource programs and learning opportunities, identify common issues and trends that affect the local economy, maintain confidentiality of their proprietary information, serve as an advocate for maintaining a pro-business environment, and certainly express appreciation for their presence in our local economy. During the last fiscal year, 59 BRE site visits were conducted by the Chamber staff. During these site visits, 4 local industries shared their plans to increase their workforce in high-skilled positions through targeted recruitment. However, they all expressed a concern on the difficulty in hiring experienced talent from outside areas and convincing them to come and live in Stillwater and bring their families. We see an immediate need to develop effective marketing tools to promote Stillwater's outstanding quality of life and strengthen our overall marketing efforts. There is also a need to establish a common vision of Stillwater's future. We must continually strive to make improvements wherever possible with new amenities and social events that will attract more young, talented workers and their families to live here. Companies and site consultants prefer to work with economic development organizations, or EDOs, in large metro areas which play the role of issuing requests for proposals, RFPs, to the local EDOs in their region, then qualifying, gathering, and disseminating their proposals in standardized formats as specified by the prospective client or site consultant. Therefore, we have continued to actively participate in the Oklahoma City Regional Partnership, and as of January of this year, we are also participating in the Tulsa Regional Partnership. We also maintain a strong working relationship with the professional staff at the Oklahoma Department of Commerce. Now, these 3 entities generate nearly all of our prospect deal flow, as we call it. We have closely analyzed the 55 RFPs issued by these 3 groups in the past year and submitted 18 proposals in cases where Stillwater met the specifications of those particular projects. Available buildings defined the current business attraction market, a result from softening economic cycles as vacant buildings are becoming abundant in cities and towns around the region. Many competitors are now using an ongoing shell building program to generate more prospect activity. This concept greatly reduces the construction period after the sale or lease, allowing a business to be in production in 3 or 4 months rather than 8 to 14 months of new construction starting from scratch. It also provides a more predictable completion date in cases where the client's startup production is required. Most searches conducted in our region were focused on existing vacant buildings, which highlights the importance of maintaining an inventory of available buildings. Our Economic Development Committee is evaluating its own shell building program. However, Stillwater currently has a few privately owned vacant industrial buildings that are being used in site proposals. Stillwater's industrial and commercial building inventory is found on our website using what's called Xceligent, a widely accepted national database where buildings of various sizes and specifications are accessed by the site selection consultant field and businesses. Very few inquiries were searching for fully developed sites, and those few required much larger parcels than what we have available in Stillwater. These issues may appear unfair and for non-metro communities like Stillwater, but it is indicative of an emerging national trend that strongly favors large cities that can offer a much larger labor pool as well as alternative job options and spousal employment opportunities. Young talented workers including new college graduates, migrate to larger cities for their lifestyle amenities and activities. Such trends support the need for a common vision for Stillwater's future. Workforce development has also become the key to economic growth. Nearly all site searches in business attraction and nearly all of our BRA site visits are raising the need for attracting qualified talent. It's not only a primary determining factor for business attraction prospects, but also the most common constraint of growth among larger employers across our country. The labor shed analysis conducted last fall provides some useful data on available skills and worker commuter patterns in our defined labor pool. This independent study, conducted by Avalanche Consulting and funded by the Stillwater Economic Development Authority, thank you very much, is now being referenced regularly in our RFP proposals and is available on our website. In addition, a new staff position dedicated entirely to workforce development continues to be evaluated. Support services for small businesses and new business starts continues to be a priority. On any given day, the Chamber delivers a variety of programs and events designed to benefit a wide range of businesses. This is another area of highly collaborative public-private partnerships. The Chamber's efforts are only possible through the spirited teamwork with 11 local and statewide agencies. These organizations and their services have been cataloged and are in the process of being put on our website as well. An active prospect at this time, we are working with an existing employer here in town that has outgrown their space, and we're helping them work through a due diligence list. And this project has become quite positive in moving forward, largely with the help of our city manager, Norman McNichol, and his team, and also with a few that on our Economic Development Committee that bring certain expertise on critical issues. They plan to, once they purchase a site, hopefully ours, they plan to build about a 20,000 square foot facility and grow from their current level of 23 workers. There's also been a new business groundbreaking, I'm sure you're fully aware. The Ranch Development Project recently broke ground on a new continuing care retirement community after a 5-year formation cycle. Once completed, it will employ 140 people and generate an economic impact locally of $9.6 million. Overall, current prospect activity is very slow, no surprise, not only locally but around the nation, and most notably for the state of Oklahoma. You can be assured the Chamber is making every effort to improve Stillwater's ability to compete in bringing quality jobs to our community. Now, going forward, the Chamber will continue to deliver high-impact programs and services to assist and support our local businesses according to our strategic plan, which are also detailed on our website. However, our focus for the next fiscal year will also include reporting to the City Council and City Manager. We would like to make that on a quarterly basis, should you agree. Pursue a community-wide visioning process, identifying improvement goals, and develop implementation strategies. Continue to promote Fly Stillwater commercial air service. Encourage new development in the downtown area. Restructure the Jingle Bells campaign and greatly reduce the fee during the holiday shopping period to gain more participation among local retailers. Develop marketing tools to promote Stillwater's outstanding livability to attract more talented workers and their families to live here. Explore potential funding sources to establish a full-time workforce development coordinator. And lastly, promote the use of college-level internships in local businesses to retain more of our graduates working in collaboration with Oklahoma State University. Now, in conclusion, and on behalf of our Board of Directors and approximately 800 member businesses, I again thank you for your continued investment in our economic development program. We hope that you're pleased with our efforts under these circumstances, and we ask that you consider an extension or renewal of our service agreement between the Chamber and the City. Now, I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have or take any comments.
Trustees, I would like to start with saying thank you. I would like to request in the future that we are able to read this before it is presented to us so we can have questions. And it's very hard to formulate questions while we're trying to concentrate. And
So noted.
and that should come to us at least a couple of weeks early as part of the contract. Counselors, I'm sure you, or trustees, I'm sure you have some questions.
I just had a quick question. Thank you for the report, and I know you started in January, so full speed ahead in figuring Stillwater out in our community. I had a quick question. When you talk about current industries that are planning to increase their workforce and all of that, and you talk about marketing materials that will kind of hopefully help bring people, can you give an example to us about what kinds of marketing? Is it website? Is it paper? I mean, what kind of marketing strategies do you think about when you work with industry?
Thank you, because we have been brainstorming on that quite a bit. I think we need a high-impact, very brief video. It's the old saying, an elevator pitch. And you're not going to get somebody to watch an 8-minute video, but I do think if it's done in high value, high impact, keep it moving, a lot of people, places, activities, showing our very best, we think 60 to 90 seconds, we can really give a good example of what we have here. And I also think that, and of course we can launch that from our website as well as give copies to all of our employers so that they can use it in their own recruiting activity. Collateral materials like a brochure, certainly. With new things coming all the time, especially on campus, this picture is going to change. So being able to do this video in digital format means we can slice and dice and update regularly without a total start over. But I do believe that we have a great story to tell. We just need to get after it and give a tool to our employers that they can use in trying to attract talent.
Well, I commend you, because I think many of us in this room have either talked to people or ourselves have said, we're just going to stay in Stillwater for a year, and here we are 10 years later. How do you capture that so that as people moving in understand that we are a wonderful community and you do want to live here and you do want to have a family here and have a career? And so good luck with that, and if there's things that we can do to help support that and help get the word out, that's what we're here for too.
Thank you.
I had a similar question, although it's probably beyond the scope of this report. The companies that you mentioned that you had talked to in town that were having trouble recruiting people to move to Stillwater, I wondered if they were having similar holdback or similar complaints, or what, and I'm not asking you to enumerate them now, but that would be helpful for us in a report later.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And first of all, what we are observing is the higher the skill sets that are being recruited, the more difficult it is. People have very high expectations if they're a PhD level engineer or chemist. And it's quite often they're being recruited out of a major metro area where they've got all the amenities and major sports, et cetera. And of course we have access to amenities from both metro areas. Our economy benefits when we get people to work here, live here. And so that's our aim. And that is by far the preference of the employers, because when the employees don't have to commute as far, then the happy factor goes up.
Well, I you don't have to enumerate it, but I just wondered if there were common themes, if there were things that we could work on. There's more to attracting people that the city can do also.
Thank you. I do think that just the Performing Arts Center that is coming soon is phenomenal, and that is a world-class asset that we can lift up. As soon as we have architectural rendering and as well as, there are bits and pieces of footage that already exist. The hospital was sharing some with me just the other day. So this effort's going to be more of a collaborative, parties coming together and helping with various pieces of it, because I don't claim to have all the answers in this, but I do see the chamber being kind of that producer, convener of a process. So.
Well, we spoke last week, and certainly we both agree that nobody can do this by themselves.
True.
My other question, quickly, under the current marketing activities, you talk about targeted industries. I wondered what targeted industries are you referencing?
Our strengths, aerospace is top of the list, and aerospace happens to be continuing to do well. And so not only trying to recruit from that arena makes sense for us, because obviously the university and its programs, and we do have success stories already here that makes it credible, but that industry is going to be strong for some time. And I'm to participate at the National Business Aircraft Show in early December, I believe it is. And just as an example, bioscience and unmanned aircraft. The unmanned aircraft field is not only a niche that is going to play well for Stillwater, but there's a huge growth opportunity there. So we very much look at bang for the buck when we go out, spend a little money. Do we have a reasonable expectation to bring something back and not just shoot at the stars? So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I have 2 comments and then 2 questions. I also echo Mayor Noble's. It's very hard for me. I'm more of a visual guy, and so it's hard for me to follow along and read, so I appreciate that. In this section, you said there's also need to establish a common vision of Stillwater's future. Obviously the City Council had a visioning session just a couple weeks ago, and so, I encourage you to reach out to us on that. It's not just the chamber. There was a lot of entities that didn't even come to listen to that, but we're trying hard on that, and so we really want that common vision. But and I know you want to come back and present to us, so I'd be happy to hear some of the chamber's thoughts on what they think Stillwater should be doing in the future, not just economic development, but as far as the city as a whole. I know you represent over 800 businesses, so I'm sure there's some great ideas, and so I'd love to see some hard-hitting ideas or thoughts of what you think would be good, not just a general young, new amenities and social events. I'd like to hear what you would like to see.
Can I
Absolutely.
Can I tackle these one at a time?
Yes, absolutely.
And this was already in our strategic plan before I was hired, but I absolutely embrace it. And now that I've had a chance to get acquainted with many of our employers and stakeholders, it makes a lot of sense. We need to reach out beyond, just the business community. I think that it's important to understand what's the average citizen, taxpayer. Where do they see Stillwater in 10 years? Are there common threads there? And, it will tell us a lot about how they feel about our community. Do they see opportunity growth? Do they see us continually evolving, improving? We really want to know what's going on with the average family out there that doesn't really have the time to come to a council meeting or read an article in the paper. They're just busy with going to their own family activities, and so that's the whole process. It's not at all a program to try to sell something. And I want to make that very clear. We're not bringing some predetermined outcome. This initiative, which we certainly would be getting participation from other partners, and a lot of young people involved to go out and have, town hall meetings and various formats that will give us some input from folks that we normally don't hear from. And that's all it's about.
Okay. And then, and you may have answered it, but I just don't see it in there. In the past, when we've got these, we usually get kind of what the chamber felt like was their direct impact on jobs and as far as growth in the city, as far as investment. I don't see that. I could be missing that. Do you have that number of what you feel the chamber over the last year has done as far as how many jobs they've brought in, how much has been invested in the community? Just kind of substantive for what we put into the chamber, I guess. Kind of.
Well, thank you. Very good question. I have been an economic developer since 1989. Not saying that I know everything in the field, but most economic developers that have been at it for a while understand the importance of credit where credit is due. We don't claim to create jobs. And I will tell you that in many cases where we go out and we are talking to companies and they share their need to hire, expand, I'm not going to be so bold as to say we created that or we made that happen. I do think that over the course of time, that our services, when you add it all up, is a real factor. I can say that with confidence. However, to give some kind of scorekeeping when we are just out there talking to businesses, I think can give the wrong impression that we are magically making things happen otherwise wouldn't. Now, I will tell you an exception to that, our cases where, they needed our help or it would not have happened, and there are some. But I've only been in this position 5 months, and I really didn't feel it was appropriate to come before you this evening and make boastful claims about, what we've created. They're in better economic times. There will be more announcements, and we love those moments. But when those moments happen, we're quick to say that those were the businesses that created the jobs, and we were just glad to help any way we could, and try to maintain a little modesty. Our efforts are the same in difficult times and good times. It's just the results will vary. This is a tough economy. I think you all know that. And as I think Coach Gundy would tell you, it's a good time to be working on your game in the locker room and prepare for the field of battle. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to improve our ability to compete and accommodate growth opportunities. There are some needs there. We do need more business park shovel-ready sites. We could always use a few more buildings. We are thankful that you all invested in that labor study, because that did answer a tremendous need and gives us useful data that we're using. But there just aren't that many opportunities out there.
And I understand that, but and I can't speak for the council, but just for me, I mean, when we go out and we talk about the city and we talk about how we're allocating these funds, I mean, for me personally, I think it's better when we have those numbers to back it up. And I'm not trying to hold you to say, we created X amount of jobs, but I just think in the future, at least a rough idea of saying these are the things we worked on. I think that's what they did in the past. I can't fully remember, but I mean, just things of what they've worked on or I mean, jobs they've tried to help. I mean, things like that. So
I think you've
so noted.
I agree. And it's what everybody calls a return on investment. And
yeah,
we need to know why to invest in the chamber. And just hearing it's a slow economy, should we not invest?
And I certainly understand that. You are stewards of public money, and you certainly have constituents that will ask you hard questions, and I do hear it too. why should the city invest? Well, I mean, there is a direct return on that investment, and you know that.
Well, we need to
And-
see
but,
that direct return.
Absolutely. But I've only been there 5 months, and honestly, under these circumstances, I just didn't really want to try to present things that it would give you the impression that all is rosy. I certainly understand you need to show measurable results, and we work on that. There will be, on my watch, there will be measurable results. I will know more about those because I'll be the one engaged in them. We've had a transition, and while I credit my predecessor for a lot of great work, but we did go through a change, and we're still working our way through that. So that's why I'm asking if we could get on a quarterly basis. It won't be near as long-winded as this one, but I think if we increase the frequency of engagement, it will give you a better understanding and a higher level of confidence about what's going on.
I think we absolutely need quarterly reports to know what's going on, and we need to know more of our return on investment. So maybe during those quarterly reports, you can give us more information. I just don't. Just hearing that we're in a transition, that doesn't really do it for me.
Understood.
Any other questions?
Most of the ones I wrote down have been asked and answered to some extent. I did wonder, just kind of a specific number here on the 18 proposals submitted, what the outcomes of those are, and assuming that they didn't happen, do we have a general sense of why not?
Well, first of all, when those entities distribute RFPs, in many cases, those are national searches. It's no excuse, but you're not seeing many other communities with announcements, just like us, in those same RFPs. Oklahoma City and Tulsa, they are the ones that generate the lion's share of our opportunities. We track those. We also have been evaluating each and every one. Well, what was the driver of that particular deal? In nearly all cases here in the last several months, it's about a specific size of building. But there's also, needs about eave height, and we had one the other day that was that required a clean room. Well, a clean room in manufacturing, as you can guess, is a very expensive asset, and those don't exist in many places. I could go on and on about, even though we may be able to put a proposal on a particular opportunity, there could very well be hundreds, if not 1,000, that are doing the same thing on that same deal. And it's a numbers game. The more you do, the more likely you'll get a visit. And if you get a visit, then you have a real opportunity to try to close. But there's no doubt that looking at tracking our proposals, it really is about buildings.
Okay. And then just generally, I understand that the city pays the chamber to help perform these economic development functions, and ostensibly because you guys can do it more efficiently than we could do it with internal staff, which I think is probably still a good idea. It is a tough economy. I wonder, from the standpoint of what the city could be doing to help what you all are trying to do, are there specific places that we as a council need to jump in and say, hey, this thing really needs to happen so that you all are able to do your job more efficiently? Are there specific needs out there, I guess, is what I'm asking.
Well, let me start with there's already been a tremendous change, and I don't know, I wasn't here over previous administration, but I can tell you that this team it comes to the table with a can-do attitude. That helps. And we are working on a project right now where it was, I thought, going to be almost impossible to solve certain issues, but their help, we're getting there. I can't emphasize enough the importance of helping our existing employers with their recruiting activity, because new businesses looking at us watch that too. And when in these times, information is everywhere. There is no hiding under a rock and trying to gloss over what are critical issues. Now, it's not just us. Communities everywhere, especially those that are not metro, are having a huge challenge. But if we can help them lift up Stillwater's great quality of life here, and they are more successful in their own hiring, that news gets out, and it shows that the community is partnering with employers, existing employers, and more will want to come be a part of that. So,
When you talk about that, I mean, to me, it sounds like what you're saying is we need to invest in more amenities, things around town that are going to help those businesses attract people to these jobs. Is that what you're?
Well, I'll tell you one I think that is an opportunity coming soon, I hope. And that's this Block 34 downtown development project and expanded vision. I'm sure you all have heard. And there are a few different parties that have some different ideas, but we applaud that and we want to see it happen. We think that'll make a difference. It'll be our own gathering place, and that's what young, talented people, what they gravitate to. Events, open space, create a destination in our downtown area where it all got started, and so we're trying to encourage and keep that conversation going among those competing parties, and hopefully soon we'll see some real movement on it. So, you know, there's a long list of factors that come into site selection, and the list changed. In recent years, it is now all about a company's ability to not only hire on day one, but will they be able to find the talent 10 years out? And will that community be able to help them pull that talent in to live close to their facility? When I started out in this profession, that really wasn't part of the conversation. Now it is top of the list. It is all about talent.
Maybe we could see a visioning plan from the chamber that addresses this, or what you think. And if it's presented to us, then maybe we can add to it, or we can, help work together. But we have to see some ideas of
Absolutely.
what you think. And when did you start?
January 27th.
And it is the end of July.
Yep. I know.
Okay.
I feel it's been a real learning experience. I'm absolutely loving Stillwater and getting to know the business community one at a time. But you don't want to hear excuses, so I won't give you any. But I am excited, and I have every reason to be optimistic.
Okay, so we will have them scheduled for the next report in
Be September.
September. And we expect to have some visuals and a report in hand before that. We can ask questions before, which makes it much easier on you when we can ask the questions before.
We will certainly do that.
Anything else?
Real data.
Real data. return on investment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Ted.
Thank you.
Okay, that. Reports from officers and boards, general counsel,
Nothing to report, ma'am.
general manager,
No items, ma'am.
trustees. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn the Stillwater Economic Development Authority meeting. At this time, we need to vote, don't we? Yeah. And we are adjourned with a vote of 5-0, adjourned at 6:35. And at this time, I will reconvene the city council meeting. Do we have a motion and a second to move to the city council executive session?
So move.
We have a motion and a second to move into the executive session. Please vote. Please vote.
Sorry. I was putting all my stuff up.
Please
Oh, I
vote.
still gotta vote. My button's broken.
We will move into executive session with a vote of 5-0.